How much is it to start a podcast? Well, for your business podcast, this is a very important question because obviously one of the first things you're going to want to gauge is ROI. How much have you invested up front before you start seeing clients or customers from those results? Well, let's go over that. Now, by the end of this video, you're going to know what some of your expenses, what some of your startup expenses are going to be, maybe a few things that you can do for free, and what charges you can expect, recurring charges, so there are no surprises. I'm Nick Natarella with AdWise Creative. Like the saying says, there's no such thing as a free lunch. Well, the same is true in podcasting. Whether it comes to microphones or equipment or even hosting, there's a bunch of stuff that, you might have to write a check for, you might have to write a recurring check for, and there are a few things you could probably do for free right now. Some of the hard costs you can imagine right off the bat are microphones. Well, first of all, how many are you going to need? If it's just going to be you, obviously just one. For every microphone, there's a cable, don't forget. So between the mic and the cable, and you need a place to plug it in, that's the interface. It's very easy to rack up a couple $100 right there alone. The interface is kind of like a mini mixing board that will take care of all the microphones, bring them together, and then give you one signal that can plug directly into your computer, probably in a USB port, and that will go into your software. Depending on what kind of microphone you get, there are some microphones out there that do a halfway decent job for $100. Again, how many are we talking? Microphone cables, you probably only need something between 6 feet at the most, maybe 10. But again, it depends on how many people are there and where you're going to put your interface box. And then the interfaces are anywhere between $150 and $250. Put it all together, 1, 2, 3. Don't forget your cables. I'd throw in an extra cable or two just to be on the safe side. Heaven forbid something should break. If you leave the setup, if you do have the luxury of having a designated area for recording and you can leave this plugged in overnight, you just walk in, do your recording and leave, and you can leave it all set up, there's less of a chance of doing any damage to the equipment, especially the cables. The cables are going to move the most and have the most movement to them. Microphones, they don't move. They don't bend. They don't fold. Well, they're not supposed to bend or fold. Every once in a while they do. Then that's a new purchase, yes. But cables will tend to give it a little movement. But again, if you can leave it plugged in, there's less of a chance of that happening. Unplugging and plugging them in and stuff like that, rolling them up, unrolling them, that's when they tend to get damaged. If you're able to leave them alone, they may last you a little bit longer. One great place you can go to is sweetwater.com. Now, what I love about Sweetwater is, first of all, it's not an affiliate link yet. I hope to be someday, but not right now. So this is a freebie. Go to sweetwater.com and in their search bar, type podcast bundle and then get yourself strapped in because they're going to throw a bunch of stuff at you. What is so cool about this is they cover everything from the microphone to the cable. Oh, one other necessity that I forgot to mention for every microphone, there's probably a mic stand, mic stands, interface, all that kind of stuff. There's the bare minimum, and then there's the full-blown package. There's the minimum for one, there's the full-blown for 4. Let's say you have a round-robin table discussion. There's all kinds of stuff that you can use to get your podcast up and running, and they can run you anywhere between $150, $200, all the way up to about $2,500, maybe even a $3,000 package. Again, it all depends on what your format's going to be, how many people do you need on mic, and how long these are going to be running. As of this recording, January of 2024, you can get started for as little as $100 all by yourself. And like I said, they've got packages all the way up to $3,000. For software, you're going to need some kind of recording and editing software. Hopefully you won't have to do a lot of editing because everything will come out just right in your recordings, right? Between you and your guests, perfect, no problem. Add the opening, add the closing, mix it down, you're done, right? Yeah, hopefully someday, but probably not right out of the box, and it won't be a consistent thing to happen. There's gonna be some editing every single time. You can get that done for as little as free. There is a program out there called Audacity, very powerful, multi-track mixer, editor, cut things down, add some special effects, anything from not just special effects, but subtle effects, EQing and compression and things like that. And again, those are rabbit holes that you can run down and really get lost in if you want. I would suggest you call up an EQ and it probably has some presets, some already dialed in stuff. Scroll through those dialed in stuffs and hit play. And which one sounds best? That's the one to use. You don't have to mess with what does this mean? What is attack? What is release? What is sustain? Don't worry about that. Compression, oh my, that can be a rabbit hole. There's so many things you can do with compression. Again, that's one of those real dicey subjects that you can get lost in very quickly and spend hours, if not days, weeks, or an entire career trying to figure out and how to tweak. Find the presets that sound the best. That's the one to use. Let's not get down that rabbit hole yet. If you can figure it out later, that would be awesome, because then you can really play your voice to its strengths and vice versa. But for now, just go with presets. Don't worry about trying to figure out all the settings that go with compression. There are some other programs you can use for a one-time payment. DaVinci Resolve, for example. Now, DaVinci Resolve is actually a video editing program. There is a way, not exactly a straightforward way, I'm not gonna say a roundabout backdoor way, it's more like a side door, okay? You can directly record audio in DaVinci Resolve, multi-tracks, and get it in there and edit it and export it and mix it down as a podcast. Yes, it is doable. And yes, it's a very powerful program that you can use for free. There's also a paid for version. One of the biggest differences between the DaVinci Resolve and DaVinci Resolve Studio, DaVinci Resolve Studio is the paid for version. The biggest difference between the two, especially when it comes to audio, is the free version, you can only mix down to a WAV file. That can be a pretty big file. The paid version has an MP3 setting that will significantly reduce the size of the file by maybe even 90%. I come from the world of radio, and I've been editing radio commercials for decades. As a WAV file, a 60-second ad can typically be 10 megs. As an MP3, it can be 1 meg. See the difference there? Huge difference. And we're talking storage space here. And that's what your host is going to be concerned about. How much of their room are you taking up? They want you on MP3. Edit and do everything in WAV, but when you mix it down to an MP3 to save space on your hard drive and on the host as well, so they don't charge you more. So between those two, those are the differences. Now, there are a bunch of converters online. You can convert WAV to MP3, and those are free. A lot of them also have malware that gets installed on your computer. So you're rolling that dice. Be careful. The one that I used for most of my radio career was Adobe Audition. That's a $29.99 subscription as of January of 2024. $29.99 a month gets you unlimited use to Adobe Creative Cloud and Adobe Audition. Lots of functions to that. One of the things you don't need, and there's a lot of this out there, you can use it, but you don't need it. There are a lot of these editing programs that will do like MIDI instruments. You can program a drum track and then add the keyboard track. And this is all programmed. This isn't necessarily played on a keyboard. You didn't play it on a keyboard and record it. You actually designed it in the software. That side of the music software you really don't need for what you're doing. If you want it, great. If that's something that fits your wheelhouse, go for it. Me, I would never touch that part. I would strictly be doing the vocals and the editing. I don't need to worry about creating a drum beat or anything, or strings, or woodwinds for my podcast. So just me. Now this is just the surface look. There's a lot more to microphones and editing software and editing techniques and stuff like that. If there's a particular question that you have about any of that stuff, just drop it in the comments below and I can probably get you a video for that. Again, we're just looking at the 30,000 foot view. But any questions, any comments, just drop them below and I will get back to you about those. A couple other things to consider that may have a fee or might be able to be free. Podcast hosting. The hosting service is kind of like where you host your website. Everybody's got a browser, but that doesn't automatically store your website. Your website is actually stored someplace else. That is what your podcast host is for. And there are dozens of those out there that will hold the audio for you, and it gets sent to all the players, whether it's Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever they are. Wherever people are listening, it came from your host. It's not necessarily hosted where they're listening. Kind of like the difference between a website, where it's held and where it's being viewed. Same thing with podcasting, where it's held and where it's being listened to. That kind of thing. So there may be some fees associated with that. There's some that start with a free package, but they don't keep all of your episodes, or maybe they have a length limit or something along those lines. Eventually you're going to max it out, and the whole purpose is to develop a long-term relationship with your listener, right? If you've only got 4 or 5 that are posted at any given time, Number 6 pops up, number 1 drops off. Number 7 pops up, number 2 drops off. How is that developing a long-term relationship? Well, they've got you in there, maybe you'll stick with them kind of thing, is what their philosophy is. That's fine, but for the long run, it kind of hurts. Now you got to go back and re-upload them. Fine, whatever. So there's a little bit of an expense involved when it comes to a podcast host. And that'll run you anywhere between $15 and $50. Some of them have some really nice extra features. Others are strictly hosts and you can get away with less. Others have their own editing software, their own promotional schemes and things like that. What extras do you need and do you want to pay for now? What do you think you'll upgrade to in the future? Yeah, these guys might have the great editor, but that's $50 a month. I don't want to spend that now. Start with the hosting at say 15 or 20 and then build up to that editor months or years down the road. That works too. So you can grow, your podcast hosting can grow as you grow. For promotional materials, I would start with a free subscription to Canva. I've been on Canva for I don't know how many years. In fact, I just got a thing from them. I think I just did my 200th design. They're saying, congratulations. So I've been on there for 200 designs, haven't paid a dime. Work on Canva. I'm not a graphic artist. I am not good at that at all, that's for sure. That's why I need Canva. But since I don't use any of their paid stuff, I can crank out what I need. And finally, you know, there might be something in a panel discussion. You might need to invest a few dollars a month in a recording service, like, for example, either Zoom or Riverside.fm. Think of it as, you know, 3 or 4 people on a Zoom call. Everybody is recorded individually. You download the components, both the video and the audio, and then you can just line up the audio in your audio editor. Now, I also know Riverside.fm also has an audio editor, so you can just immediately take that recording, drop it into their audio editor, or not even drop it in, open it in their audio editor, take care of what you need to do, and then just simply upload it from there. Very simple process. Yeah, there's a fee involved. Others you can do for free. If you can keep it under 45 minutes, you could go with a free Zoom. Zoom doesn't exactly have the best audio quality. It's acceptable, don't get me wrong. And probably a lot of the podcasts you hear of people getting started have used Zoom. You can get by with that. Again, if we're talking audio here, and even in video, shoot a film, and Hollywood will tell you that any film is 51% audio. They give the nod to audio. I've even heard the quote up to 80% audio. The point is, audio is very important. And if you've got audio that sounds staticky or hissy or high-pitched or overblown or distorted or something like that, people are gonna bail within seconds. That's for video. Imagine how important audio is, to a podcast. Okay, you've got to have good audio. Like I said, you can get away with it with Zoom, and you can certainly get away with a panel discussion. There are better ways to do it. There are more cleaner, crisper ways to do it. And I would suggest you slowly build to that as well. I'm all about getting started. Stop the delays, stop the excuses, start recording. Press that little red button. One of the most critical elements that you can do is learn how to talk to your audience the right way. And I've got a free download for you if you want to grab one of those right now. It's called Engaging Your Audience: The 3 Secrets to Skyrocket Your Podcast Success. There's a link in the comments. Click on that link and get your free copy right now. Engaging Your Audience. I'm Nick Natarella. Thank you for watching.